You don't have a baller like
in terms of the overall package, then it's Messi, then CR7.
Yeah, but do you think it's close? That's my point.
I think it's close.
I don't think it is.
That's what you man don't want to bow down to Pele.
No. Who you gonna say next? No.
No.
Who you looking at next? Garincha? Bro, stop this, man.
No. He was playing up against. He was going up against electricians and crude oil cleaners.
Oh, but Maradona was going up against
and
who?
substitute teachers,
substitute
teachers, and bin men.
Maradona was going up against who?
Yo, Yem, you have to
Professionals, bro.
Yo, Yem, you have to
1986, he was going up against Gary Lineker, Brian Robson. Come on,
yo, Yem, you have to relax.
You got that.
Am I wrong?
You have to relax.
But am I wrong though?
Don't do that.
Am I wrong? Sanitary workers.
What year? Sanitary workers. Yemi, what year was the hand of God?
Masseuses.
Yemi, what year was hand of God?
Masseuses.
Don't do that, man.
Bro,
not to the God, man.
You know what I used to say? Do you know what I used to say? You played against.
I'm not gonna say it's easy, but Brazilian league in the 50s. Come on, man.
Don't do this.
Yemi said he played against electricians, bro.
And
you know what the most
sanitary workers.
You know what the most
against coal workers,
coal miners,
bro.
You know what the most unhealthy thing is?
What?
In 50 years' time, this is how our kids are gonna be talking about Messi, and we don't deep it.
It's disgusting.
This is how they're gonna talk about Messi. Fuck, Messi played against BT workers.
Bro.
Do you get what I'm saying though? This is how people are gonna talk about Messi in 40, 50
Pele
years'
played
time.
against people who do your job, estate agents and shit, property management and that. Come on, man.
You're gonna be hanging.
Relax.
That's to that.
I'm just saying.
You have to relax.
I'm just saying.
That's to that.
I'm just saying.
You have to relax, man.
Played against EE workers. What's going on, world? Welcome to episode 55 of the Rhymes Like Dimes podcast with your boys Peter,
Yo,
Mohammed,
Yep.
and myself, Yemi. Another day, another pod, guys. How we doing today?
very well, bro. What you saying, man?
I'm well, man. Healthy. You know what I mean? All we can hope for, really. You know what I'm saying?
Is it coming home?
It's coming home.
So we
Not Somalia, but it's coming to my second residence.
your second residence.
It's coming to my second residence.
This is your first residence.
Somalia is my first residence. This was my second.
What's your address in Somalia?
Mogadishu.
See?
No, Hargeisa. Wow.
What?
I'm from a place called Hargeisa in Somalia.
All right, cool.
My point being, it's coming yard, isn't it?
Fair enough. For those who are very confused about what we're talking about, we're basically recording this the day of, actually a few hours before,
Football's coming home again. Sorry, I got gassed.
the Euro 2020 final between England and Italy. By the time this comes out, we'll know if it's come home or not, meaning that if England have won it or not. And boy, if it does, we're probably all going to be recovering from like a 3-day. I know we don't drink, but some of us.
Don't say we don't drink. Mo and myself don't drink. You on the other hand,
It was the royal we.
lungs of fucking iron, bro.
It was the royal we.
So what do we?
First of all, but thank you for pointing that out.
So what are you saying? Are we all gonna say what we think the scores are gonna be, and then we find out if we're wrong or right when the episode comes out?
2-0, England. Sterling, both goals.
2-1 England after extra time. I don't know who's scoring.
I've got 3-1 England. The third goal coming late though.
You think they're scoring 3 against the
Yeah,
Italians?
but I think the third goal's gonna be. You know when they go all out attack and it's just a counter thing. I'll go 3-1 England, innit? I don't want to talk too much.
Mohammed, how have you been?
I've been good, man. I feel like we've all been doing the same thing. It's just been a football week, whether it's the semis, whether it's the quarters. I think everyone's been on the same thing. I don't think it's just me. I've been caught in the fever. It catches you, innit? You can't help it.
It caught me after the semi-final.
It did?
Before then, I didn't really care.
Not even after Germany.
Nah, not really. Because I still saw a couple of things that I wasn't that happy with. And if they go up against a bigger team, it'll probably expose them. I think after Ukraine and Denmark, I was like, okay, starting to believe now.
The Denmark one was
those are the
big.
trickier teams that traditionally England have struggled against.
And when England went down to Denmark and the way they came back, it's a different squad.
That was character.
Yeah,
I
mentally
was
it's a different
really
squad.
nervous, man.
Oh, for real?
I was really nervous. Even when we scored the equaliser, I couldn't chill because Denmark still looked quite good.
And it came missed a penalty as well, innit? Which made it worse. It's just
Well, yeah, man.
It's coming home though. I'm telling you. Shout out to Tom and Kitten as well, fam. It's coming home.
Yeah, they'll probably fuck around and get a number 1 off that.
If they win it, they're gonna get number 1. I think the top 10 already.
So yeah, Atomic Kitten have basically reworked their classic single "You Can Make Me Whole Again,"
Which they robbed as well, by the way, but continue.
From who?
It's one Caribbean song. I forgot who it's from.
Interesting.
But Drake's always tells me, like, yo, they robbed that song. Like, robbed it.
So he must be raging about this Southgate one.
Nah, he's just like, he don't play it.
I mean, it's
I can't stand it, to be fair.
it's regular procedure, innit? For
Or just for who?
just taking shit, innit?
For who? For who?
Just say it, bro. You said it before.
Peter, for who?
You said it before, though.
Because I don't get where you're going with
Why are you
it.
so silent? Why are you so silent all of a sudden, sir?
Who takes stuff, sir? I told a kid.
So how are you, Yemi?
I'm very well. And listeners, we hope you're well too. Thank you for tuning in. Whether you're listening on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, very much appreciate it. So yeah, let's get straight down to the show.
Let's get to it.
I'm going to start with Mohammed. Mohammed, what have you been listening to this week?
Pretty much nothing too crazy. I've been trying to listen to non-rap. So this is going to sound crazy on a podcast, but you know how Bobby Brown and Keith Sweat had the verses?
Yes.
I decided let me go listen to Keith Sweat and Bobby Brown's discography. I couldn't do it.
What, every single album?
Yeah, man. I was just like, let me see what Keith Sweat's been.
That's a lot of albums.
Yeah, no, but I was just like, let me see it and let me just try and expand my horizons. But I gave up after like an album. Don't even remember what the album was called. But
Keith Sweat album?
No, after a Bobby album. Keith Sweat's music I like. I prefer Keith Sweat's to Bobby Brown.
What,
Bobby
what
Brown
album
make
did
good
you
albums?
listen to?
Let me go check now. What'd you say?
Does Bobby Brown make good albums?
Nah,
I mean, clearly not.
Nah, man. God bless him, bro.
You man are being disrespectful.
God bless him. Does he make good albums? You will know more than me.
He's got a couple.
Good albums, yeah?
Yeah, he's got a couple. I mean, solo, yeah, he's got a couple.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's got
Alright, fair enough. Well, that's just me. I was just trying to listen to. I was literally listening to stuff outside my horizon, whether it's Keith Sweat, Bobby Brown.
Have you listened to the New Edition albums?
Yeah. I was just, but then not recently, but I've listened to that before. Also listened to country music again.
Oh yeah, you won that craze
Yeah,
for a bit.
yeah. So I went back to my country music phase.
That explains why you were at the country club. That makes sense now.
It's fun me.
Come on.
You saw the visions.
I get it.
You saw the visions.
I get it.
You saw
Dolly
the
Parton and them, man, just
Hey, man.
inspiring you.
Maybe lock them doors. All them thing there. All of them thing there.
Tim McGraw.
Come on, talk to me, fam. Why are you shaking your head?
I ain't got
You don't want to be country with us, Pete.
I'm good.
Alright, so what have you been listening to, Peter?
I've been listening to Tyler the Creator's project,
All rap. Sorry.
Coming from this guy too.
which I thought was really good.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Brent Fires. I liked his tune with Drake and Pharrell.
Oh, you
Or the
listened to it,
Neptune's
yeah?
rather. Yeah, I listened to it. It's dope.
A lot of people don't like that.
I
I
love it.
love that tune.
I like it.
I love that tune.
I like it.
Yeah, I was expecting him to sing,
Same.
like Drake to sing, but he didn't, which is fine. We're listening to a funk / R&B group called Pacific Star. They dropped a project back in like 2017, which was like really good. So yeah, checking that out. Willie the Kid dropped a project called Keep Watching the Fly, also really good. And then yeah, that's it really. A bit of Puff Daddy, No Way Out.
Naturally.
You know what I mean?
Naturally, innit?
Because that's the era of
He
Pete.
has to listen to Puff.
Yeah, I'm a jiggy guy, innit? So I like to go back to the jiggy era.
So yeah, I mean, what you been listening to?
You know what I mean? Shiny suits and that.
Shiny suit.
You don't just call yourself Jiggy.
The day you come to my house with a shiny suit is the day I excommunicate you.
What if you come to your
Our
wedding in a
family.
shiny suit?
To the wedding?
Yeah.
Fam. I'll have security, bro.
I think you know, for my next birthday party, I think I'm gonna have like a 90s era party,
Don't
and
do
I'm gonna wear a shiny suit.
I thought you were going to say, like, only people can only wear shiny suits.
No.
That would've
Just
been
dress-
insane.
Like the
Just
theme will be 90s, yeah. So I'm gonna be Puff or Mace.
I could come in the Dennis Rodman dress.
You're clearly going to be Mace.
Mace what? Mace who? They ain't what Mace do.
So I've been listening to...
Yeah, why have you been listening to him?
I've been listening to the new Vince Staples album, which is really good, self-titled. I also interviewed him for The Independent.
Salute. Great read.
Big up.
Thank you very much. So yeah, check that out if you want. I've also been listening to, and Mo's gonna hate this, the new Doja Cat album.
How is that?
I actually enjoyed it, bro. It's like, it's good, just pop. It's just good pop rap, basically. I did hear a lot of like, when she's rapping, I did hear a lot of like inflections that were similar to like Kendrick and that. But
Oh, don't.
she can rap.
Can she?
She can rap. She can rap well. Not to Royce or Jay Electronica levels, but she
still-
can rap well.
she's still showing
And
feet on
yeah, I'm looking at you, Pete. Anyway, but yeah, she can rap well, man. It was.
I was
good-
about to
good
buy
album.
it, but I chose not to.
Can she rap?
I don't know about rap, but she can rap well. I'll say that.
she
She
can
can,
put words
hold her
together.
own. She can hold her own. She can hold her own. But it was good. It was a good album, man. If you're trying to just let loose, party, and be merry, then listen to the Doja Cat album. It's very good.
She's still showing feet on camera or not?
I don't know. I don't know about Doja Cat's life like that. You really thought you did something there, didn't you? But yeah, shout out to Doja Cat. I also listened to the new Hiatus Coyote album. The first album in like 5 years, I want to say. Dope. Dope Australian bands. Kind of funky. Some places rocky, some places jazzy.
Neo Soul.
Neo Soul-y. You know, shout out to the lead singer. Dope vocals. So yeah, I've been checking that out. Checked out the new Dave and Stormzy tune, Clash.
What do you think of that?
It was alright.
I haven't listened to it yet.
It was alright.
You know-
It's just Dave and Stormzy flossing.
Because that annoys me.
No, you need that. You need the
No,
balance.
not the flossing, the song.
Why?
Because Stormzy's first 4 bars against Chip, I think that's evidential.
What did he
Everyone
say?
knows that. Where he's like, something about come to your house after your birthday, all bailiffs. Like, you know how he ran up he went to Chip's house.
Yeah.
He done a play on words about coming to Chipmunk's house.
I'll get the lyrics.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, perfect. And then something about, you know how bailiffs come up to your house.
Yeah.
It's a play on words, innit? So the first 4 bars were everything.
But why is he? Why? Because I saw you man talking in a group chat about it. Why don't you guys like that?
Because it's like, yo, Chipmunk's giving you 4 diss tracks. Stop the subliminals.
He's been subbing him.
What's the
He's been subbing him
subliminals doing at this point?
He's been subbing him since Chip has been dropping.
Whether it's on I Don't Know, whether it's on
songs.
this, whether it's on
Skengman.
the Skengman song.
He's been dropping subs at this guy the whole time without even acknowledging him.
And you had a different energy to Wiley. Completely different energy to Wiley.
So Stormzy said, overrated one, most hated one, slid round after his birthday, gave him a happy belated one, burn that bridge, cremated one, boom, boom, bailiff one, got away with murder, this, that, Viola Davis one. And there's a couple other lines.
Oh, swear.
That's a bar.
Every now
That's an amazing
and
bar, innit?
again. Listen, it's a good song for that. Like, they're barring.
Yeah.
They're barring. And I like Flexi Dave. I like Flexi Stormzy, so I like that. So, I salute. But my issue is just stop subbing.
That's exactly.
After a while.
That's exactly.
And obviously-
Why though? Why? What's wrong with subbing?
You can't.
Because essentially, he's probably feeling as though you're not big enough for me
That's
to.
that's a lie.
Why is that a lie?
Because you chose that avenue of where you want to go. The minute you clashed with Wiley, you have now chosen that avenue of, if a man barks at me, depending on where they are, I'm going to say something back. The minute you subliminal, you sent for him and I don't know, and then Chipmunk petrol station and giving you a video, I think you have to at that point either leave it alone or stop mentioning his name.
And to that point, he's from the era, he's from the grime culture where what they know is clashing to end the thing. He goes and purposely hops on a song called Clash and drops subs. When my man has been dropping songs about you, naming you for the best part of since October?
And didn't you give an hour? Didn't he give a time limit to Wiley? Of how long?
24
So
hours.
You can't do that then. You can't give a next man time limit.
So just so I'm clear, if someone goes at someone, they're not if they don't respond to that person in totality, they're not allowed to.
No, you could sub
send
him.
subs.
But if 4 songs later, it's like you're subbing someone 4 songs later.
Because there's been many instances.
Yeah, but
of
it's a
that
year
over,
later,
like-
bro.
Bro, there's been many instances.
Yeah, but
of
this
that.
is not
the
UK.
UK.
Yeah,
I think that's
America.
important
Jay-Z's
too.
the king of that
That's
shit.
important too.
Jay-Z's the king of that shit, but in the UK, nah.
In the UK, we just sort this out with a clash, whether it's a song for a song, whatever.
And Stormzy can't big boy
you can't do what you did with Wiley and then do this with Chip, man.
That's
I'm
what
sorry,
I'm saying.
you can't.
Yeah.
It tells me that you're scared.
And Stormzy can't big boy Chip. Like, I don't want to hear that, yo, Chip's not on his level. Stop it. So I think if you ask me who I think's the better rapper, it's Chipmunk.
And this goes back to what I've been listening to. I listened to, basically Chip dropped a reply, say the song was called Clash ? Basically going at Stormzy and Dave. Basically went at Dave for saying, why are you letting this guy come on your tune and sub me? And just going at him and then just going at Stormzy as well.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with being mad at someone else choosing to use your record to go at me. I can't control. I don't agree with that.
You know what it is?
Unless I'm cool with you. If like me and Mo have a great relationship, and then me and Yem do a song together, and then Yem starts sending for you, like I probably would be like, yo, nah, because of my relationship with Mo.
Yeah, but Dave might be closer to Stormzy than Chip.
There's that as well.
100%. But my thing is with Chip, and he said it in previous songs, I think it was in the 10 Commandments tune, where he said to Gets pretty much, pick a side. And them appearing with Stormzy is them picking a side. So I don't care what happens. I don't care who's on your side. I'm going at everybody sort of thing. It's kind of like a gung-ho, everybody's going down with me mentality, which I kind of rate, because if my man's not responding to Chip, what has he got to lose when he's replying to everybody else? You know what I'm saying? So
it's corny, man.
The tune was dope, but they're all corny. Everyone's corny. Chip is corny for either responding. Stormzy's corny for still sneak dissing him and not addressing him to his face. But we did get 2 good songs out of it, so
there's that.
There is that. But shout out to them, man, innit?
Yeah, let's see how it unfolds, innit?
It won't. It'll continue to be subs,
you think there's
and
never
it'll continue to be outright disses because they both live in each other's head, clearly.
You think Stormzy's never going to ever actually send a diss track?
It might be too late too.
It's too late.
I don't think it's too late.
Unless he's going to do it when he's in album mode.
I don't think it's too late. The way Chipmunk's hungry.
Actually, no, it might not be.
Yeah,
it's probably not too late, to be fair. Because if he's still dropping disses to Stormzy, then probably not.
Didn't Nas wait a whole 8 months before Ether dropped?
Yeah, different times, and
Social media, right?
and it's also the UK.
Yeah, you're right.
It's also the UK. We live in a time where people can literally respond in 24 hours.
Did Gets respond to P Money straight away?
Straight away.
Even though they say
know.
Get started it, but
I don't know, but I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Wouldn't be surprised at all. But maybe now.
I don't think it was straight away. You know,
So you're answering your own question.
I don't think it was.
And why did it?
What? Here's the thing. That's cool.
Because they were supposed to. I think they were initially supposed to clash.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were.
That's cool. But we now live in a post-Chip Bugsy era, which basically redefined the rules of warfare, meaning that if you get sent for, you have to respond fairly quickly. So I guess we're following those rules. And by those rules, Stormzy has failed. But if we're doing previous types of rules where you can respond at any time, then fine, whatever. But because we live in the immediacy era now, he's kind of failed. But if he does drop something, we'll all listen. So
Yeah, he's got, yeah. Dave Man know as well. We'll be there no matter what. So
big facts. And outside of the music, I've also been listening to this podcast called Mogul. Shout out to Brandon Jenkins, who hosts it, which basically tells the story of the life and career of DJ Screw. How he came up with the chopped and screwed method, how popular he was in Houston, his legacy, and all that as well. So very, very dope listen. So check out if you haven't, DJ Screw. If you don't know about him, get to know. He's the reason why a lot of people do this chopped and screwed method. If you don't know about it, you've definitely heard it. Like Drake's done it, A$AP's done it, Beyonce's done it. So
everyone's done it.
Pretty much everyone's done it. Travis Scott as well. So big up Screw, rest in peace always. Right. Let's move on to the first topic, guys.
Right, yo.
What was the accent?
He's English, isn't he?
Geezer, innit? Right, yo.
You say that's what Euros do to you?
Geezers don't say right, yo.
Don't they say right, yo?
Why would they say yo?
Right, yo.
Oh, right yo.
Yeah.
I thought you said right yo.
That's what Americans think we do.
What, right, yo?
That's what Americans think we do.
What, right, yo?
But sound like bare posh and
Cheerio.
Cheerio and that.
Yeah, it's like Cheerio, innit?
Is this what the
That's
Euros
posh,
finals does for
not
people?
geezer.
Is Cheerio posh?
Yeah.
100%.
Oh.
Cheerio.
I hear Geezer said, does that really sound posh?
Oh, right. Who them, man?
Two fat ladies.
Whose
on
man's
the
is them? Whose man's is them? But anyway, what we're going to discuss today is a UK-based topic. And
Oh, boy.
there's no real easy way to say this, really, but we've had this conversation for a long time about the UK on a music standpoint, especially in comparison to the US scene as far as rap goes, where, you know, we've seen seminal albums being dropped from pretty much the 80s to the present day. The same can't necessarily be said of the UK. So I guess what we want to do right now is get to the bottom of that. Why does the UK struggle, inverted commas, to make albums that could be considered seminal or classics? Now, obviously, we do have a few, maybe a handful, not to the same level as the US. And we kind of just want to get to why that is and basically discuss it right now. So, lads, what are our thoughts?
This is a techie one, man.
It is.
Because it's offensive.
Is it though?
Yeah, it's offensive because we've had a lot of artists come through our scene, UK rap, UK grime, since 80s, 90s, whatever, innit? And there've been quite a few projects that have come through. So it's offensive to those that helped pave the way, because it's kind of like, wait, I did all of this work, bust down the door for the next man to come through. And I believe I've put in quite a lot of work and released albums that have influenced many. And then you've got these three
Dickers.
these three chaps coming out of nowhere talking about, you know, we ain't really got no classic albums. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
so
but
it is offensive. And like, I understand that perspective, but if we are being analytical, I think our scene, there hasn't always been an emphasis on like album making. And I don't know, for me, because of like my earliest experiences with like the UK scene was so solid, that's where my mind goes back to. Obviously, you've had the people that came before and all of that, and respect to them.
Well, let's just say
but
that's
for me personally, So Solid was like the first.
The start.
So, yeah, I remember, like, I don't remember before So Solid, but I remember after So Solid. So even with them, there was still an emphasis on that single and those independent tunes that would chart. It never felt like there was like an attempt to ensure that their albums were cohesive. Because even when I go back to, and the album name's escaping me, but the album that had 21 Seconds in that.
They don't know.
They don't know. Yeah, sorry. It wasn't the most amazing album. Do you know what I mean? And So Solid are very important to me, and that's just one of many acts that have come from our scene that have given us great moments that necessarily haven't given us great cohesive albums. So because I feel like there has never really been an emphasis on making that like an album like that, I think it's just kind of trickled on generation after generation, and that's probably where a lot of it stems from as well. There's always been an importance on ensuring that we have songs that chart to pulling eyes and ears to our scene, but not so much bodies of work. Maybe because our scene has been so new for so long.
Yeah, 100%. And we should definitely preface this by saying that these are just our opinions. You know what I'm saying? Even if we are dickheads or chaps in equal measure, innit?
Or kings.
Or kings.
There we go. There we go. You had to add that word there.
You just had to, bruv.
Yeah, I had to, yeah. I was going to say guards, to be honest. But,
I was going to, but yeah.
Anyway, these are just our opinions. And I agree with you. I feel like because the scene is still very much, we can even see it today. The scene is very much developing in real time. We're developing in a way now that the US was developing in the 80s and the 90s. So they've already got like a 2-decade head start on us. So we're still doing what they were doing then now. So that goes down to album making, that goes down to like becoming artists. Because I feel like back in the day, especially in the UK scene, the Soul Solids, and even before then, I don't think they were necessarily artists who prided themselves on making those albums. It was very much about making the singles, getting the exposure, because that was what the market kind of was. Like, obviously we had Roots Maneuver, we had Black Twang, Rodney P and them, man. Skinny Man, but they were still very much underground. It was until Soul Solid came through that we started to see rap music in the UK in the mainstream gaze. So with that, it's a single. It's not exactly an album. It's not an Illmatic. It's not, any of these things. So that's the foundation. And we've had to go through the eras, especially after grime as well. After grime became a thing where, the skill of the MC, the bars, the songs, the moments took center stage, and the album making very much went by the wayside or wasn't seen as important. Maybe by the Dizzies and the Kanos, they were seen as important. But for the majority, they were in a minority. So it just goes down to what the mentality was at the time, which obviously wasn't on trying to make bodies of work that would stand the test of time. It was more so about becoming artists and getting those moments and getting those songs that will stand the test of time as well. So.
And a lot of those, and just to piggyback on what Yemi just said, a lot of those important artists that kind of laid down the foundation for what the scene would become, a lot of them were, especially with grime, a lot of them were like clashing. So that was their way of, honing their craft and pulling people in. The evolution into song making didn't come till way later. We cared about the skill set. We didn't necessarily care about...
Yeah, we didn't know how to make albums. They weren't taught at any point. No one showed it in your face of like, this is what you got to do. This is how an album sounds cohesive. Everyone, I guess, was just a fan like us. And like you said, clashing was more... I guess everyone wanted to be known for their skills rather than their music making ability. Do you know what I mean? It was more... Everyone was more on the tip of, let me prove I can rap. And then I guess they thought naturally everything will fall into place. And what people need to understand, when Soul Solid and everyone was coming out, yeah, they had Skinny Man and everyone to look back at, but not really, if you get what I mean, in terms of here's an album. Like, say in America, you've got an Illmatic, because if we're in the early 90s, they had an Illmatic to look at. They had the Roots album to look at, whoever. And like, this is what an album is meant to sound like. If I asked you, like, before Soul Solid came out, give me a UK album and go, this is a prototype of what a great album sounds like. It's not easy. Do you know what I mean? So they were freestyling all of it in the head of like, yo, this is how an album sounds cohesive. This is where this song goes. Cool, that's where it. So I guess it was a case of where it was trial and error. Yeah,
it's probably only Roots Maneuver, really and truly. Run, Come and Save Me. I think that came out before Soul Solid came out. I think it was 2001.
Yeah.
Same era anyway, but that was like the well,
yeah,
obviously I wasn't around at the time, but that is the album that us as...
Was like, here's one.
Yeah, here's one.
Yeah.
Here's one.
But that's my point. If they don't have anyone to look at as well, it is essentially a trial and error, because it's like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, you are only as good as what's come before you.
And grime MCs will tell you the same thing. I interviewed a grime MC called Yizzy last year, And I asked him about the difference between being a grime MC and a grime artist. He said it's where a lot of people hit a brick wall. There are some amazing MCs that people don't even hear from anymore, or just aren't doing music because they were great at MCing. But when it came to songwriting and artistry, they just didn't know what to do. It's just about finding the balance between the two. So again, a lot of people emphasized being an MC rather than being an artist. And the artistry is what comes into making great albums. Someone like Dizzy and Kano, they understood the balance. So they perfected it. You know what I'm saying? And they've got the 2 albums that we consider the seminal UK albums. So that just shows you what having a mind towards the future and being an actual artist, and this music is something that you do with your career, not something that, you know, you pay £10 to go to a radio station to spit bars sort of thing, which is what a lot of people did during them times. It's just about just recognizing that this is what you want to do. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are today realizing, that they actually want to be artists rather than just MCs. And the market is a lot more accepting of that as well, and more susceptible to that too.
Yeah. For me, Dizzy, he changed it, man. He changed the whole thing, because I don't really remember what album sounded like before Boy in a Corner.
That was the first UK rap album I bought.
Yeah, because I went back to Wiley's Treading on Thin Ice as well, and it just wasn't. It just wasn't great. And considering that he's like given, you know, the title of creating grime and that, you know what I mean, it's a bit mad that
it's shaky.
It should have been.
You know what I mean, it's a bit.
It's not what it should have
so
been.
yeah, man, like Dizzy, he definitely bust through the door with that, with giving us like not only our first proper grime body of work, but a flawless album in that respect as well, that you would hope that people would be influenced by and would make something similar, but that just wasn't really.
Why do you think there was such a gap between Kano, Dizzy,
because how many years
and then
apart
the
was
next
it?
great album?
2 years.
No, I'm saying.
Well, I mean, in between that was Skinny Man Counts a State of Mind as well. So even though that was still kind of underground, it's still recognized now, and probably a little bit back then, as maybe not a classic back then, but a seminal album, especially for UK hip hop, especially from an undergroundy kind of standpoint. So I think for the seminal albums, there was Boy in the Corner in 03, Counts a State of Mind in 04, Home Sweet Home in 05, and then there's...
That's what I'm saying. Why is that gap there? The 05 to the next one.
I just feel like...
Do you get what I mean? That gap is huge.
I just feel like, again, like...
I think artists were just trying to still figure it out.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to be accused of just catting what Dizzy was doing or even what Kane was doing. You still were trying to figure out, all right, cool, how am I going to put my own spin on it?
And then that was
so a lot of it was trial and error. And
100%.
You know what I mean?
And then,
you're gone.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off at all. That's when I think the rise of, I guess, the SBTVs came out. Around about them times, that's when YouTube really started popping. So I guess everyone was more focused on showcasing their talent on as a rapper level on YouTube before it's here's my album. Does that make sense? Because when did Lord of the Mics everything really start coming out? Early 2005,
like mid.
Yeah, and then SBTV came out, Westwood came out, and then that's when I feel like everyone was like, all right, let me park away the music making side of it and show everyone I can rap.
But the only like kind of bounce back I've got on that is that all these artists were still making mixtapes. So the mixtape was an opportunity to experiment with their artistry and try and, you know, see if they could make music in a profitable way.
But a lot of them couldn't make the leap.
Yeah, exactly. None of them could graduate from mixtape to album. Do you know what I mean? Because then they would drop what they would deem to be their official album and it'd sound like a mixtape. So there was still that struggle. And I feel like probably those platforms, and not, I don't want to say this, man, but I think they contributed to the focus on just being nice as well.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
which
saying.
maybe made some MCs
stand out.
Yeah, because SBTV and them, man, they're just a graduation of pirate radio, of Lord of the Mics. That's literally what that is. And to even flip it and look at it from a kind of industry standpoint, obviously you had Dizzy, he was industry darling. Kano came through as well. The industry didn't really understand what was going on at the time either. Like they had Dizzy, cool. So any other label at the time is going to look for a new Dizzy, the next Kano sort of thing. So they're going to make them move a certain way, be a certain way, maybe compromise themselves as MCs and as artists, quote unquote. So it was very much a teething problem, not only with the artists trying to find the balance, but of the industry trying to find something that was already a winning formula that didn't necessarily fit with other artists as well. And that might have hurt their progression, because if they're just trying to get signed to sound like someone else, that's not going to help. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of it goes hand in hand to where artists haven't been able to kind of make that leap, especially if they're making mixtapes. A lot of them are very, very productive at that time. Obviously, Gets, very productive, Wretch as well. So there's definitely a clock, Jamie. There's a class of people that are doing it. And even like someone like Skepta came out with his debut album, Greatest Hits in 2007. Could argue that he hasn't really made that great of an album, but that's something we'll return to at a later date. So, you know, it's a thing where you're still just trying to figure out. You're trying to figure out the balance as well, which, you know, probably it might come a little bit harder to UK artists because there's so much you have to juggle. You know what I mean? Accessibility, you know what I mean? Trying to have hits, you know, trying to appeal to like the mandem, the ladies, all this.
And that's what I was going to ask you, both of you. How much of an effect do you feel like being from the hood has had on some of these artists not being able to make that proper body of work? Because sometimes when you're like, I think when you are from the hood, you can be boxed into like,
I dare you to step out the zone.
100%. Do you know what I mean? So how much has that played a factor in some of these artists and maybe not graduated to the next step?
I think previously it affected them. I don't think it does now. I think now, sincerely, no one cares anymore. They're going to make what they feel. I feel like it's a different kind of place today where an artist is going to feel like what they honestly feel. Back then, let's say 07, 08.
I want to, before that, because I think,
06.
Going towards the end of the 2000s, I think that's going to go seamlessly into the next topic. But before so early 2000s, mid 2000s, I think that's where we were finding like a lot of who we consider to be our greats struggling with making that next step.
But is it them or is it also the industry kind of didn't let them make that next step? Because it wasn't, do you get what I mean? It was new. So it was hard for so many of us to all be in a scene at once. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, we had a Dizzy. Yeah, we had, I don't even remember who was back then.
You can only have one.
Yeah. You can never, it wasn't a time back then where you could have Skepta, Gigs, Wretch all at once. Here's Wireless or here's Top of the Pops. So I don't think it was them per se dodging it, or it was more of a case of...
But to Pete's previous
But then they weren't making the music too.
But that's my point. Even if they did, would it have been allowed?
But to Pete's previous point, they were making mixtapes and a lot of these people were releasing stuff independently, so they could have gone down that route of releasing independent albums. I guess the question is, why were they struggling to make that leap sort of thing? You could obviously say the industry wasn't allowing them just from a structural standpoint, but when it comes to an artistic standpoint, what were these men doing?
You saw it. True.
It's something to do with our scene, because
I mean, Chip tried and got crucified for it, so maybe it put people off.
But he just didn't do it well.
It was shit.
It's not about him not doing it. It's about him not doing it well. That's why he got crucified. Because if he would have been successful at it, then nobody would have crucified him. There are certain people that attempt to go, like, trying to go pop. I don't think is like, that doesn't mean that you're like, you know, trying to
sell out.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I feel like when artists try and go pop, in their minds, maybe they think of it as experimenting, but a lot of the time you're just selling out to make a buck. It's not so much about the artistry, and that's where the issue comes in. When that's just your focus and not the actual body of work, that's when we're going to be like, yo, what are you doing? You're shit.
Well, I think maybe on a mental standpoint, the focus wasn't on producing a good 14-track album that, you know, is balanced and is an artistic body of work. Maybe it's a thing where you've got one big single and you wrap it around 11 or 12 other mid songs to make an album, make a body of work. So maybe that mentality's gone out the window now, but for some artists it probably was a mentality back then.
And maybe there was no care in that album back then. Maybe the money wasn't the same. Do you know what I mean? You can make money off a mixtape and I guess tour off that, whatever. Who knows how much?
There was an emphasis on it.
There wasn't an emphasis on albums. We didn't look at albums like that before Boy in the Corner. So why would an artist look at albums? If we didn't care, if we're the consumer, we don't care about our album, and we're always downloading mixtapes. I remember downloading Retrospective early, Teacher Training Day early. I didn't care about an album.
But we can say this with the benefit of hindsight.
Because it's free as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, we was growing up with them, same time as the artist, so they know what we can get and what we can't get. So I don't know if the care or the emphasis was.
But with that though, we also had America to look at as well. Even though our scene is different and it's smaller.
But how many of the
the influence was still coming from there anyway.
How many of the albums did you cop in America? You downloaded all of them, right?
I copped and downloaded.
Alright, that's my point. What I'm saying is, if a lot of the people weren't getting albums back then anyway, and these guys probably weren't getting the American albums the way that say you meant to pay for it. The emphasis I don't think was there for them.
Plus, how many?
Because there was no.
I think that's a cop out, man. That's a cop out. Like where there were two different phases, man. There's the era where like I think you're referring to the internet age.
Not
where,
03, 04.
Yeah, but that wasn't downloading yet.
Bro, 04, 04.
Remember when did like LimeWire and all of that?
LimeWire was about 04.
Are you sure?
I promise you.
Was it?
04, 05, LimeWire was definitely about. When's 04, 05? What?
No, that's not. I can't be right.
Bro, I was downloading albums in year 10, 11, first year college.
That was 06, 07, 08. So around that time.
Yeah. Regardless.
Definitely like year 10, year 11.
Yeah, I feel like year 10. I'm just saying, I feel like the emphasis wasn't there for this.
No, but bro, you're talking about like the music they're making and it appealing to the masses. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about quality of work, your body of work.
It was just not
regardless of whether you feel like my album's gonna sell or not. It's about the artistry. When you're making, a lot of the time when you're making art, you shouldn't really even be thinking about the monetary side of it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm focused on. We can't say that they were shook because of who wasn't doing what and illegal downloads and that. We can't say that.
Let me throw
why have we not had more classic albums?
Let me throw a monkey wrench into this debate. We're talking about this from the benefit of hindsight as music heads who appreciate bodies of work and appreciate albums. Back in Dizzy's day, 03, 04, 05, we're 11, 12, 13 years old. We're not listening to albums. We're listening to tunes. Maybe we might have an album in the background, but we're not really taking it in. We might be a fan of an artist who drops a big hit and we only want to hear that big hit or a few big hits sort of thing. So it might be a bit rich to say that, UK hasn't produced great albums when at the time when seminal bodies of work were coming out and possibly the balance wasn't right and people weren't really focused on an albums, it's probably because the streets were saying, you don't really need to focus on an album because the singles is where it's at. We only really remember the singles. We only really remember the wheel ups, the moments and shit like that. So maybe that's something that we need to consider as well. Because it's easier to say as we get older and we actually appreciate albums, we love albums, that, oh yeah, the UK hasn't produced great albums and stuff. But if the climate at the time wasn't to make an album, then...
That's what I was trying to say.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I don't want to dismiss what you've just said. Fantastic point. But nah.
Cool.
See, when you got to start with love and then you got to give But like, nah. Because, because bro, I feel like we're not artists and we're not rappers, none of that. But I still imagine that any artist, the goal was to make an album. I don't care what climate we were in. Since the inception of Rakim, all them man there, the objective was to get signed and make an album. Or if you're not going to get signed, make an album. So I don't think we can say that because regardless of whether, we would focus on tunes and that, they still wanted to make that body of work. I think all artists aspired for that.
I think that not everyone. I'm talking strictly for the UK.
Unless you're J Electronica.
Sure. For the UK, I don't think everybody came into the game to make an album.
No,
I think a lot of them were MCs or just people who put words together, who saw their friends go to pirate radio and decided, this is something I want to do with my after school. You know what I mean? Maybe make a bit of money, go on Napa and stuff and keep it moving. Maybe have a day job when I get older sort of thing. That's what a lot of people have ended up doing. Like grime MCs that we probably grew up listening to have 9-to-5s now because the music team didn't work out or they didn't take it as seriously. You know what I'm saying? Look at Bearman. Bearman dropped a couple tunes and we ain't seen him since.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So everyone's path is different. So I don't think everybody came into the game with the intention of dropping albums. I think the people that did made the albums. Dizzy, Kano, and then later when more and more people were channeling their MC-ness to becoming artists, they started to recognize the value of dropping projects, dropping albums. The Getses, the Wretches, the Devlins, all this stuff. They were dropping more projects as time went on. They didn't come out the gate with that sort of thing because I don't think it was their intention sort of thing. So while I recognize your point, I don't think you can paint everybody with the same brush.
With that though, why were they making mixtapes then?
Because they were trying to feed the streets.
That's what it was.
And they were trying to make money. But maybe that was when they started to realize that making projects, if I'm trying to do this music thing, is how it's going to happen.
And
but they didn't come into the game with the intention of making mixtapes and then making albums. That's what my point is.
And a mixtape
I don't know, man.
And a mixtape, it's a cheat code. You can use other people's production. It was easier.
Yeah, but I feel like
there was no need to make an album.
But I feel like they were doing that to set up the eventual album.
I don't think they were.
I don't think they were. I don't think it was
a big game.
I don't think you'll find any MC from the UK that made a mixtape without the intention of eventually making that album.
I think
you ain't gonna tell me that.
I think some of them just made a mixtape for the sake of making a mixtape.
Some people do. Some people do though. Like Pot of Paper, for instance, he was making mixtapes for Time. He still hasn't dropped his first album, and he was in jail for time as well. He came out last year, dropped an EP and dropped a mixtape just to kind of feed the streets. And he was dropping mixtapes before he went jail and in and out of jail just to keep feeding the streets, sort of thing. With no real intention of like music becoming his thing. It was just a thing where he knew he was nice. The streets wanted something. Let me drop something, sort of thing. I don't think it was to the intention of I'm going to drop this album, sort of thing. So again, it goes to my point that I don't think it's that easy to paint the brush on everybody.
I don't know, man. I just feel like a lot of these MCs, the mixtape is also like it's part of the developmental process of artistry as well. So where a lot of them, like you just named my man, I don't know his name, but
Paper.
Yeah, he might be dropping mixtapes and not feel like he's ready to drop the album yet because he's still figuring his sound out, figuring his skill set out, and maybe that's where a lot of artists. That's probably what a lot of artists feel like as well. But I'm never going to say that them man are not releasing mixtapes with the goal of releasing an album. I just can't see that, man.
Nah, man.
If they don't drop a mixtape, cool. If they just go into radio sets and spraying, cool. Yeah, but if there are certain men that drop mixtapes, I believe at some point they've got it in their mind that,
I'm talking about, say the first.
This is how my album's gonna sound.
I don't know, man. I just think it's easier to do a mixtape. There's less. It's just a way to feed the streets. Like
it depends though. If you're signed, then it's probably harder. If you're not signed,
I'm saying if you're not signed, it's easier to make a mixtape than it is to an album. You can literally just go on YouTube, grab a beat that you like, and freestyle on it, and then make the mix. Do you get what I'm saying?
But how many mixtapes came from the UK that use bare man's?
No, I'm just saying it's easier. I don't think an album was always in the back of their mind when they were dropping a mixtape. I generally feel like it was.
Yeah, I don't think it's as easy.
Oh, I've got a fan base. Here you go. And if they fuck with it, they fuck with it. And then that's a way to make their fan base bigger. Yeah, cool, the eventual end goal might be it, but I don't think that's the main focus at that point. And I'm talking about back in 05.
And it can work in mysterious ways. They might intentionally, first of all, to want to drop mixtapes just to feed the streets, and then they start to realise,
I've got a fan base here.
I can do this a lot more, let me make the album, sort of thing. And I think, to my point about not everyone came into the game with the intention of making an album, they figured it out. They figured it out as it went along. I think we're now seeing that in real time today.
Yeah.
That kind of flick of the light switch to where, you know, I'm not just making music just to make music. I can make music to make like long-lasting bodies of work. It's now being seen in the UK to where it's happening at a more voluminous rate, I'd say. Obviously, like Common Sense, Psychodrama, you know what I mean? Whatever, GSAP for some people, sort of thing. So, you know, I think it is seeping its way through, and we're getting to a point now where maybe a decade from now we'll be able to say, yo, UK's made some great seminal albums.
Yeah.
Whereas now we can't necessarily say that because I think ultimately the focus wasn't on that.
But now yearly we're starting to drop great albums. So you can see the progression already.
Yeah, I think
because now it's yearly. Like we've got one.
Yeah.
We've got one.
And that's from the new man, and that's from the OGs, that's from the legends. You know what I'm saying? So
that's why I'm happy that we kind of grew up when we grew up, man, because we were able to see it from its inception up until now and what it's developed into. And God willing, we're alive to see where it eventually goes to.
We could talk like them uncles that saw Puck and them man in the 90s. Not all jokes aside.
Yeah.
We can honestly talk about, you know how you spoke to your uncle when we were doing Mount Rushmore. We honestly could talk like that because we've seen the growth from the first mixtapes to people are really bringing out bodies of work. Like bodies of work. Mixtapes ain't even a real thing like that. Besides, only people I can think of that still do mixtapes at 100 miles per hour is maybe Pot of Paper, D-Block Europe. But there's not a lot.
Fam, I was watching Tinchy Strider's Underground video the other day. The quality of that was shocking. Like these youngins will never have to.
All they know is 4K. All they know is 4K. All they know is 4K.
You know what I'm saying?
But then he dropped what? Star in the Hood. He dropped the album with #1 on it. What do you think of those albums?
Not great, bro. Not great.
Trying to figure out.
Not great, man.
They were trying to figure out. So
and maybe it's different to the States where we were growing with our artists as they were figuring it out. We were tuning in and, you know, growing with them on that journey as well. Whereas America kind of had that to begin with. They had like Rakim dropping these like albums and that, and Big Daddy Kane's and that. They were into the bodies of work quite quickly there. Whereas our scene, we were still figuring it out.
Because I think that those man more so came into the game with the intention of making albums. You know what I'm saying? And the structure around them was just easier. Labels, radio, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was more welcoming to them. Because by that point, hip hop was already a thing and it was popular. So it was easy for the industry to kind of accept it because they recognize its value. Whereas here, didn't recognize, really and truly, the industry didn't recognize the value of the UK black music scene until 2014, bro.
I'll say after, I think it's a little bit after that. You say 2014?
2014, 2015, whatever you want to
Which
call
is
it.
which
leads into the next
crazy
topic,
late.
yeah.
Well,
Listen.
so why don't we have any classics?
Because of everything we've just said, man.
Yeah, no.
The focus
Just
wasn't
like
there,
that,
man.
man.
The focus wasn't on the albums. That's the best.
The focus wasn't on albums.
And
They didn't have no one. They didn't know any better.
there's I think we're being nice with that, but there's also
Be rude then.
No, I mean there's also some of these men just weren't great at making music. If
That's that
we
too.
want to keep it a buck,
That's that too.
they just weren't artistically great enough to make music. Some of them were just rappers that could just spit.
True.
And there's no
that's-
wrong-
and
there's
that-
nothing wrong with that.
And that's cool.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but having like a musical ear, some of them just didn't have it. And I think that's why we don't have way more classic albums than we should. Because there are some of our people who we consider to be great that some of their earlier bodies of works weren't it.
Everyone's
Like,
got-
I went back to, I was saying to Yemi off mic, I went back to Giggs' Walk in the Park.
Not there no.
Back then, that shit was amazing to me. You couldn't tell me nothing. I thought Giggs was Jesus, but now,
It's not the
nah,
same.
man.
I never was a fan.
I never want to hear that. I'm good.
I never.
It set pace for road rap and what was to come, but I don't need to play that again.
Park it.
Yeah, ghetto gospel gets his ghetto gospel, same thing. I'll never front on top 3 selectors. That still sounds amazing, but as a complete body of work, that tape just isn't
To your taste though, right?
Not now, nah.
In terms of the music.
Yeah,
But
lyrically,
Walk in the
fire.
Park and Ghetto Gospel are seminal projects.
Yeah,
So it just depends on how you're looking at
Look,
it.
man. You hit. Everyone's got room to grow. Nas still don't know how to find a producer. So we all here. Look, and Nas been rapping since '92. So it's like we all here could grow.
I mean, he found Hit Boy, so it is what it is.
That's such an unnecessary shit.
yeah.
It was unnecessary, but shout out to the UK anyway.
But like, I feel like our artists are making great albums, though, man. Like they're making better albums than we've seen in previous years.
In our lifetime.
Yeah,
Like consistently.
Yeah.
Huss, Dave's next album is
yeah.
gonna be
Sims is amazing to me. Oh my god, her albums is amazing, man. So yeah,
Peace
man,
out.
I'm looking forward to what's gonna come from the artists that we currently have.
Should be interesting.
Is it also a case of maybe the artists now having more at their disposal?
Yeah.
I think they've got more say as well. I feel like Dave's record. Who's Dave signed to?
Universal, basically.
Like I would say, Universal put complete faith in Dave, whereas maybe we didn't have that before, where our artists.
No, we didn't.
I mean, our
100%.
artists are getting signed now.
Yeah, no, but that's my point exactly. Back then, even if they were signed, I don't think they had creative freedom. Like Dizzy might not have had the creative freedom he wants.
No, they didn't.
Whereas now I genuinely believe they can't.
I mean, he clearly
Whatever-
did for Boy in the Corner.
No, but I'm
No,
saying,
he did for Boy in the Corner,
but post that, whether it was the World Cup song, whatever, maybe they have to make all the freedom he wanted.
But
I think he did. I think he wanted to do all
He
that
wanted
shit.
to do all that.
Alright,
He wanted
cool.
to do that. But I get what you mean.
Point being, I think now we've got a lot more freedom than we ever did
Yeah.
in terms of Stormzy could do what he wants. Dave, Mo Stack, whoever, they've just got a freedom to unlicensed,
Yeah,
and that helps
100%.
obviously.
That definitely helps.
And-
The UK underground has never been an issue. We're talking about mainstream.
Yeah.
The UK underground's always been sick.
No, we're just talking
Always
about
been
the
sick.
main.
Yeah, because when I think about artists like Barney artists and them man make like dope projects. So the underground, and I don't even want to call him underground, but because it's not mainstream yet, we have to refer it to that as that. But them man make amazing projects. Kofi Stone, amazing projects. Do you know what I mean? So, but that's now though.
Yeah, man. I just feel like shifting mentality, access to more, and more artists are going in, as Peter said, with the intention of
Right.
making a living off this music and creating bodies of work that will stand the test of time, whether unknowingly or not. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. I just think times have changed, and we're here to see the change, and hopefully, we'll be able to see more.
Yeah,
And also, do you think
that was a great ending.
that was? I was gonna say something about streaming, but nah, I can't remember. That was a great ending, Yemi.
Say it, man.
Nah, Yemi ended it perfectly.
Bruv, say what you want to
No,
say, bro.
I was gonna say because I don't think it goes hand in hand. Because I was gonna say, I don't know how back then we didn't care about albums per se because we weren't buying them. So obviously streaming came.
Bro, stop saying that.
We didn't buy albums back then. Bro, we was 12, 13. I didn't buy an album,
I cared about albums, bro.
No,
Speak for yourself.
Alright, cool. Muhammad didn't care about albums at 12 years old. Fight me.
Cool.
Do you get what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
But point being is, I just feel like, no, it's what you guys said. I just feel like the realization of they have to do, and I also think streaming helped as well because now everyone's got it by their side. Whereas we used to always download mixtapes for free. Now everyone's got Spotify or whatever, so the album's always going to be there, and that's what people go first listen to. No one uses that piff anymore, anything like that. So I feel like, because albums are now in everyone's fingertips, you have to make a good body of work. That's what people are going to see.
Yeah, I always cared, man. I remember when...
always?
Yeah, man. I remember I used to... Me and my boys like in secondary school, we used to talk about like mixtapes. I remember when Bashy dropped Chopper Chops. I thought that shit was amazing, bro.
You was made to do a podcast, bro. No, honestly, because you're the only guy that's ever come to me and said Chopper Chop.
What, Chopper Chop?
He would
bro,
be
that
the
mixtape's
one.
amazing.
Yeah?
He's mentioned it a good 5 times.
Yeah, but who else?
That mixtape's amazing.
Pete, Yebby, have you ever said Chopper Chop?
Not when I'm not.
Yeah,
Not when I'm not referring to the
Bashy's name.
Not when I'm not referring to the sweets.
Hey, you see what I'm saying? Only time I care about Bashy was when he was clashing my man, fam. Salute to Bashy, though.
Yeah, but did you like his ransom video?
Yeah.
With Wretched Scorcher?
Yeah.
See? See, you're so predictable, man.
Hey, man. I like black boys.
Of course you do.
I mean, he can freestyle too.
He had one of the greatest SVU TV ones. To be honest.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool. All right, then. We'll move on to the next topic then, which kind of leads into what we've been discussing previously. We basically want to get back into our fantasy booking bag. It's been a minute since we've done a topic like this. It's kind of like the what if segment of the show, where we basically talk about, things that happened in real life not happening and how the scene would have been affected by it not happening. And more often than not, the very seismic moments in the scene. So now we want to talk about a certain song by a guy called Meridian Dan.
C-Man driving a German whip.
The song is called German Whip. It was released in 2014 and it's very much seen in the UK as the return of grime in the mainstream. So what we want to do is basically talk about what the grime scene would look like if Meridian Dan hadn't dropped German Whip that fateful year in 2014, because from German Whip came That's Not Me, the resurgence of grime, all the grime guys going up on stage at the Brits with Kanye, Drake co-signing, Skepta dropping Konnichiwa. Grime culture just becoming the in thing, and that essentially being representative of UK black music being here to stay in the mainstream. So all that to the side, what would have happened if German Whip hadn't dropped?
I mean, before we jump into that, on the back of the last topic, I think because we've been talking about how a lot of artists struggled with, the progression from mixtapes to making full bodies of work, I think before we jump into this topic, I think it's important to kind of paint a picture of what kind of led up to grime being dead to it kind of being rebirthed. So like for me, from how I experienced it, you had a lot of these like who we consider to be great now making like mixtapes and albums that just weren't really doing much. They weren't really garnering the attention. They weren't selling shit. So then a lot of these men started trying to sell out. You had Chip. He did what tune he did like Oopsie Daisy. Diamond Rings, which I actually really like.
It's a banger.
I
don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says.
I really like that tune, bruv.
Do you like it more?
No.
Of course you don't.
What?
Mo's a hater though, innit?
Yeah.
You think the podcast
Mo's not jiggy.
the podcast thinks I'm the hater? Not
I'm fly.
The
Then
podcast
they're
thinks,
shy.
Peter said the podcast thinks I'm the hater.
I try.
See, you don't even believe yourself.
I'm paid today.
Don't look at me and say
Paper
that.
grade.
Yo, stop
I didn't
looking me
know those are those words.
Stop
but yeah.
looking me in my eye.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, man. So obviously you had like, the Chips and that, Oopsie Daisy, which was 09, Diamond Rings 09, Look For Me in 09. I think that was that with Tyre Cruz?
You would know.
What, Look For Me?
No, sorry, no, I'm thinking of Tinchy. But yeah, Tinchy's also in that conversation where he had made early attempts to like...
Him and Dappy had a few.
To sell out, yeah, you know what I mean? He had the tune with Tyre Cruz, tune with Dappy.
Tinchy, Tiny Temper went commercial.
Yeah, this was like around 09. Yeah. So after like going into like the 08s and 09, you had like a steady slew of our top tier MCs trying to cross over in that.
Oopsie.
And then you had Wiley. Did he have Rolex Week?
Rolex Week.
Yeah, and then you had
Wiley had Wear My Rolex.
that's it, and then Skepta had
Rolex sweep.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that was what was happening.
And then they all have one together. I forgot what it was called.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Roll Deep.
Yeah, Roll Deep had one
Yeah,
useful song.
that was one of the worst.
Yeah, Scratchy was on there as well.
Yeah, and then Dizzy's Dance With Me, which I actually liked, and I liked Holiday as well.
Yes, we've said that we know.
It's a
I like Dance With Me though, so yeah, shout out to.
Yeah, man. So you can see that like there was a period where grime was getting a bit
we were
stale,
selling out, you know.
and UK hip hop was a bit stale, and then we just needed to make a buck. So a lot of these men started doing that. So then that's why grime was considered, and UK hip hop was considered to be like just dead.
It left a void.
Yeah, 100%. And then Meridian Dan.
Yeah, I mean, even in the interim, like obviously you had people still doing grime, JME, Newham Generals,
Temper T.
Temper T
T.
came out with one of the great grime songs in Next Type around that time. So this is why the grime is dead conversation is always going to be a bit murky, because how can a genre be dead if people are still doing the genre sort of thing? But for all intents and purposes, in the mainstream sense anyway, it was very much dead. Like everybody knew.
But we still had like, I think Get Some P Money clashed in like 2010. So even though the genre was dead, that was an element of excitement. Did that not prolong its lifespan just a tad?
Maybe in the underground. No, who was checking for Get Some P Money in the mainstream in 2010?
Oh, don't say that.
Enough respect.
No,
for
salute
Get
to
Some
them.
P Money, but
Respectfully.
respectfully.
Was you checking for them?
Nah, man.
Hey, man.
No, because I checked out a grime
No, 'cause
period.
he was listening to Dance With Me in Holiday.
When
Why
was-
would he be
when
checking-
was-
So he was part of the reasons why grime went dead. Is this what
No,
we're saying?
I wasn't. Don't
So
do
are we
that.
saying
Peter.
Are we saying Peter is at fault for
So
why
we
grime
ain't
went
doing
dead?
that.
Because he was skanking to Holiday.
Peter had the white suit on.
He had-
and he
was
That's
single-hand-
a banger though.
And he single-handedly
Brought down grime for a substantial amount of years because he wanted to dance to Holiday.
You man are sick.
he does something. Listen, that one and another thing is the only things he does systematically. But anyway,
Hey, talk about me.
edit point.
Nah, leave it in.
Nah, leave that in.
That's
Oh, cool.
That's funny.
That was 10 out of 10. That was
That's
honestly
funny.
10 out of 10.
Cool. So yeah, man, they weren't looking at Get Some
Nah.
at the time. Nah, man, nah. But they were keeping the underground alive, and they were making sure that the grime heads, the grime fans, the core of the fan base was still had something to feed on. But as far as mainstream goes, it really died a painful death, really, until Meridian Dan came true with German Whip.
Why
But-
a German
but-
whip though? Sorry.
But what's to say that like one of the OGs when they come back in? Because some of them man was still making grime. Like Wiley was still, even though he was doing the odd pop tunes, he was still making grime music.
But it wasn't. How can I put it?
Here's the thing. I feel like slowly but surely people were making their way back. Like Skepta, he did the Underdog Psychosis video. Then he dropped Blacklisted in 2012. It's clear that he was going to make a comeback as well. Wiley was making his tunes as well. I suppose with German Whip, it kind of blew open the doors for the mainstream. I'm not sure how much Wiley or Skepta would have been able to do on a mainstream standard when it comes to resurrecting grime as much as German Whip, because obviously German Whip was everywhere. It was on radio. Every time you go to parties, you can hear it, stuff like that. So I'm not sure how much his contemporaries would have done in that space, if you see what I mean.
Question for you both. So was it the attempt at going pop that killed grime? Because
It was.
if these men were still making great pure grime tunes or rap songs as well as the pop shit, would it have still killed our genre?
I think it's the way everyone left at once that made it so hard for grime to still have a voice, because it was essentially it was literally a steamroll of people that went pop in a short space of time, and we've never seen anything like that in our lifetime. So it's like, imagine everyone you've just started something. It's like, yo, these are our grime people, and it's like they all went commercial at once. They must probably look at it like, why should I come back?
But there were hints that it was gonna happen because Kano dropped Brown Eyes. It's a poppy song. So and Strider, man, like there was small little hints that these artists were gonna branch out and try new things. With Kano, granted, he still gave us the whole of Home Sweet Home, but you know what I mean? He still kind
But
of
it was-
and then you had like the Streets that
But do you think it was
the
the number?
Streets dropped songs that were still kind of enough to fulfill out that the core fan base of our genre, but still lean over and appeal to more people. So it was at some point going that way.
But I feel like with Kano Brown Eyes, it still maintains his essence. So it's not completely crazy that he will drop a tune like that, because he also had Night Night in that album as well. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it was that much of a stretch or a leap for him. Whereas Where My Rolex Sweep, these dead EDM,
Tip
poppy, housey beats, that's clearly not grime. That's clearly not grime. So you know what I mean? So I think the watering down of it, thanks to that, is definitely what killed it. 100%. I think you could definitely probably put roots in, you know, other rappers experimenting. Even Dizzy did it. He did what was it? I think it was Old School, where he was dissing Wiley on a third album.
And that tune, How You Gonna Have a Dream Come True.
Exactly, on Showtime.
I used to love that song.
I like that song.
Sorry.
What do you like, fam? Other than country music.
I apologize,
Anyway,
guys. Keep sweat.
No, you don't. But anyway, so I feel you, but again, I just feel like with grime especially, you needed a big moment like German Whip to really remind people, like the whole nation, that, yo,
We're still here.
grime is still here. I'm not sure if anything before that or anything that came out at the time would have been able to do that. I'm not sure if That's Not Me is as big without German Whip, sort of thing, because it's kind of riding that grime wave, and it allows, you know, radio to play grime. It allows parties to play grime. It allows people to reference grime and That's Not Me and that in daily conversation, which is what German Whip was able to do for the scene. So it's a tricky one, but it's definitely very, very important. I think more people might place more importance on That's Not Me because it's Skepta, but it's definitely German Whip. Definitely German Whip. Which, for all intents and purposes, you know, isn't the most grimy song. I think That's On Me is more grimy, but did enough, man. JME, Big H, Meridian Dan, like, these are OGs of the game. Like, Meridian Crew, all that. Mo can speak more to that.
Hey, man, shout out to Tottenham.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk too much. We just bring stuff back.
Sharp.
And you also like participate in killing shit too.
Hey, man, what can I say? We like to play part in both. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think That's Not Me, obviously, was stupid. Like, that was a much bigger song. But you still got to give the core to, you still got to give, I guess, the essence of what brought it back. It's Flowers. And without that, you don't know where Skepta's listening to. You don't know where his head's at. You don't know without a German Whip if he goes, hang on a minute, this still works. Do you know what I mean? He could have been looking at like it's an old formula or times have changed or it's gone past. You needed something to remind people and go, no, wait, we can still go back to this. And the minute that happened, I guess when the floodgates opened, when that Culture Vulture Drake joined in and just everyone just slowly but surely, saw the scene division.
And there's a certain style of grime that kind of had a resurgence with that as well. Like the kind of Wiley, the Esky beaty type of grime to where, you know, Skepta's dropping That's Not Me, which is basically Esky beat. You know, Wiley drops On a Level, which is very much Esky beat. Skepta then disses Devilman on, you know, the more instrumental.
Amazing.
So, yeah, exactly. So there's a particular sound of grime as well that's kind of revitalized as a result as well. But, you know, all roads lead back to Meridian. I feel like the comeback was coming back. Just as far as like all these stars going back to grime and making grime music, and maybe potentially because they're doing that, it gets more attention as they're getting bigger. They're able to do more shows, bigger shows, getting more recognition as a result of that. I'm just not sure it would have gone the same route if it wasn't for German Whip, generally.
When did Kano make 140 Grime Street?
08?
When was, okay. Just big up the GOAT, innit? Because even though like people were leaning towards, you know, the more commercial side of things, and listen, Kano did his thing on London Town, and it was very.
This is the girl.
It was poppy.
Did Kano not have a whole song with Craig David?
Yeah, this is the girl.
That's what we're talking about.
Awful tune.
I mean, I loved that song at the time.
Of course you did. This guy, bro, it's Kano we're talking about, bro.
And Craig David, fam.
And Craig David.
I hate this guy. I like that song. No, we was going to argue that point.
But no, if he likes Holiday and Dance With Me, then he's going to like this.
He liked, you know what's annoying? Yeah, I bet you that whole era he liked. You just don't want to admit it.
I would say.
You fucked with that era, be honest.
No, I did. Not all of it. Not all of it.
Did you like Wear My Rolex?
No.
Do you like Rolex
Oh, you're
Sweet?
bugging.
No, I didn't.
Do you like Rolex Sweet?
No.
Nah, Rolex Sweet was dead.
No, I didn't like that.
Did you like Lush with Jay Sean?
Hell no. I don't like anything Jay Sean.
You didn't even like Cash Money?
Sunglasses at Night?
Nah.
You did?
Nah.
I wear my song. Who else was there?
I think it's just because it's Kano, innit? He still finds a way. It's still his essence, like you said.
You're biased.
Because this is my girl is Kano's essence. It's not completely wild, but that London Town album was it was poppier than what we were used to. But 140 Grime Street, I think that also helped still keep its vein alive, Grime's vein still alive as well. Even though, yeah, big up to Meridian Dan and that.
But it was years later.
That's like 6 years after.
That was years later, bro.
6 years before.
That's years later. It was a
I feel
big
you,
gap.
Pete, though. I feel you.
No.
That was a
humongous reach.
humongous reach.
That was a yoga reach.
Humongous.
Why is that a reach?
No,
That
because
was-
that would fit in very well with the context you gave at the start of the topic.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he helped
Bro,
keep its
if
vein
it's
alive.
6 years down the line, you didn't keep nothing alive, my boy.
No, he helped though.
Bro, 6 years down
Okay,
the
he
line, the
helped
thing was
prolong his
comatose.
life.
Not in the mainstream,
It was
though.
comatose, bro.
Who in the mainstream listen to 140 Grime Street? Come on, bro. What are we doing here?
Like, let's
What
not
we
even
doing
act like Kano, bro. It was comatose by the time German Whip came around.
Bro, everyone was listening to Dizzy Dance with me in 2008. They weren't listening to,
Clearly he was.
and where
I mean, I listened to 140 grand.
Clearly.
clearly
With Holiday.
and Holiday, and you know
Duality, innit?
and wearing my Rolex. No one was listening to 140 Grime Street. No one was listening to what any of these men had to say. Like, and that's fine. Like everybody tried to do it. Like Gets tried, Wretch tried, everyone tried, bro. It's just. It was a survival mechanism, innit? Like it wasn't necessarily them giving up on the genre. It was like, bro,
just the era they were in,
this
bro.
shit's long. Let me try and make some money. Like it shouldn't be as much of a problem as any other big artist doing another sound for more P. It's just because it's rap and black people were very, very critical of each other. You know, that's where it comes into it.
So if Meridian Dan doesn't drop German Whip, when do we think the resurgence comes in, if at all?
I think. Ooh.
When did That Stop Me come out? How long after German Whip?
Was it the same year?
The same year.
So I guess it depends if that song was in the tuck.
The song.
If the song wasn't in the tuck, then
Yeah,
we would
but-
never
yeah,
know.
but-
if he's got That's Not Me.
Yeah, but he also,
Regardless of German Whip, That's Not Me was always going to get out of here.
but I think that alongside German Whip
No,
helped.
you're absolutely right. But I'm saying with
Yeah,
that,
facts.
even
But
if you take
it-
German Whip out of it,
it by
That's
itself,
Not Me
though-
was always going to be.
But
That's
it's,
Not Me.
it by
That's Not Me
itself,
dropped.
I don't know.
That's Not Me dropped 2 weeks after.
Bro, and let's not do that then.
But it by itself, I don't know. I don't know,
I'm with
man.
you.
No,
I'm not sure.
I
don't know.
feel you. No,
I don't know if
feel
that's
you.
enough.
No, without That's Not Me, you still need German Whip. But my point is, That's Not Me was still make enough of a sound.
But also,
And enough-
Skepta as well. We
That's-
can't forget
that's
who
what
he
I'm
is.
saying.
and the tune is catchy.
It's still enough.
Memorable bars.
It's still enough to bring
Yeah.
it back. That's what I'm saying. That's Not Me. Still enough to bring back grime. That's what I'm saying.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think. But that song was bigger than German Whip.
I don't know, man.
That song was bigger than
Mo,
German Whip.
we need more than that. We would need more than that. We would need to see
No,
what
I'm
would
not
come
saying
after.
single-handedly. I'm just saying it would have started the same way German
talking
Whip
about-
started the resurgence.
Are you
It's just going to start people looking back at it
Mo,
again.
when you say bigger, what do you mean? Do you mean in terms of the streets or you mean mainstream?
Streets, That's Not Me was definitely bigger.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because mainstream,
Yeah, German Whip.
it's
was gone
German
clear.
Whip.
Yeah, German Whip was clear.
fair enough. And because it's pretty much Skepta's big comeback as well. So you might be right. Maybe 2014 was always going to be the year. But with German Whip, I just feel like it
Commercially
100% made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
100% made it
Yeah,
a lot easier.
I don't know. I don't know if grime as we know it today happens in the way it happened without both of those songs. I think if German Whip doesn't drop and Skepta drops That's Not Me then as it came out,
So you need both.
I don't think it is.
goes
I
hand
don't
in
think
hand.
it's strong. I don't think it'll be strong enough to create this new wave.
By itself.
I don't think so, man.
Well, we got to think about what happens after then, because David Nega Tracy, Thiago Silva, big tune.
How long after did that?
That was 2016. In between that, JME, Man Don't Care with Gigs. These are all
When did that song come out?
2015.
Okay.
These are all big tunes in their own right as well, as far as grime goes. Do those songs still get released? I'm inclined to say yes.
Yeah, because JME was still making grime.
Yeah.
There were certain people that stayed at it, so it depends on who we're talking about.
Yeah. It's just a question of whether grime is as big as it is without German Whip,
Yeah.
which is a tricky one. I feel like the market will probably still, well, the streets anyway, probably would have embraced grime for That's Not Me alone. And then that would have probably inspired JME to drop Man Don't Care, Thiago Silva to come out, Gets to drop One Take, and with Rue Kid. All seminal grime tunes. So yeah, it is a tough one. I think they still drop, but I'm not sure how big the impact is.
Yeah.
It's essentially what I'm saying.
Did German Whip also help create the atmosphere for our artists to branch into trap a little bit as well? Because for me, when I hear German Whip, I hear it's got a bit of a bounce, a trappy bounce that for me helps other artists in our scene feel comfortable enough to try that sound in totality.
Depends on how far ahead we're talking, because that was 2014. I'm inclined to say it's more grimy than anything else. So I'm not sure how much of an influence trap-wise it would be for people. Because even following it, people were just making straight grime sort of thing. So maybe like subconsciously it's influenced what's going on today. But immediately, I don't think so.
Okay.
But listen, German whip, yeah. Very, very integral.
Yeah, man.
I feel like it gives the mainstream the faith in grime that it should have had when Dizzy really came through in 03. Because I feel like back then, this was a guy who was who made an amazing album and was an industry darling, but they never took the scene as seriously. Whereas I think German whip, maybe with like older, more assured heads generally, allows for more of an acceptance for what was the premier underground sound in the UK and what had been since like 02, 03. So even outside of like the mainstream and that, the importance is very, very, is there. I'm not sure how much That's Not Me would have been able to replace that impact.
Yeah. I don't know.
On all levels, sort of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, big up Meridian Dan, man.
Salute
Like,
to
you
you,
know,
man.
your contribution was...
You changed the landscape.
Yeah.
100%.
And
That's going down in the books.
how often do people change the whole landscape?
Yeah, that's going down in the books. Because if anyone like decides to study grime, they will look at the period in which it was dead.
I see the resurgence.
And yeah, what was the spark? And Meridian Dan, if he ain't done shit since, he's going to go down
that.
at least creating that spark that brought in a whole new wave. So yeah,
He's
big
got
up.
that. Very much the catalyst. And for that,
I read an interview where he was saying how he's got way better songs than German Whip, and I just thought, yo, you're a liar. I don't lie.
No, but people do that. Rappers do that. Fat Joe told me.
Liar.
Fat Joe said his upcoming album's a classic. Yo,
yeah, but
goddamn,
Fat Joe gasses though.
yeah, but he said him and Remy Ma got a classic. I remember Fat Joe's the biggest line in the world, by the way.
Yo, rappers liar.
We've got one, man.
You know rappers liar?
They're gas, man.
All of them.
We've got one here. Wait till you see this. And you know who pisses me off as well? The fucking DJs that agree with them. Because DJ Envy was like, yeah, I heard it, man. He's got one. You're a liar.
They're all liars.
You're
bro.
a liar.
Extremely dishonest.
You're
bro.
all in
of them,
cahoots together.
All of them, man.
They're all in cahoots together.
All of them, man.
Hey, yo,
that's why
don't
I would
do
never want to be in the industry.
Bro.
Because I would have to tell the truth.
Like, let Meridian Dan tell me, I've got songs that's bigger than German Whip.
Liar. You're a liar.
Blood, you're a liar.
Why does Yemi keep it quiet for? He's our industry correspondent too.
Hey, man. With that being said,
I've never interviewed anyone where I didn't enjoy the album. Just putting it out there.
oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, salute to you. Then.
Is that
That's me.
purposefully?
No,
Okay.
not at all. It just hasn't happened.
With that being said, you guys are welcome. And salute to
Absolutely.
Tottenham forever.
Sure, why not?
If it wasn't for Tottenham, there'll be no resurgence.
Sure. I mean, that was me and German Whip. Fine. We'll give that one to you. I hate to give it to you, but there you go.
Hey, man.
Anyway, guys, let's move on to the fun topic of today. Just to wrap things up, we're basically going to take it in turns to name our top 5 UK rap albums of all time. So, Pete,
Oh, why you got to start with me first?
Pete,
man?
get it cracking.
because who came up with the topic?
Oh, let's go, Peter. I can't wait.
All right, I'm going to preface this with saying that.
Don't preface shit.
Don't preface shit. No, honestly, don't preface nothing. Just say it.
Nah, let me preface.
Preface it after.
No. I prefaced earlier. So
Yeah, so I'm going to preface this with saying that this is just how I was feeling when I put this list together. This list is subject to change at
Mine-
any time.
But
Mine
they're
is-
never going to hit a
mine
change.
is-
Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow.
Mine is 2, to be fair.
Well, I just want to put
I
this
literally
on
changed it in pre-pod. So
All right, cool.
Well, I just want to put this on record. This is going on record, so you know, technically, wherever you change it.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, inshallah, we get bigger. You know what I mean? Someone might ask, yo, you know what I mean?
This time I've got this.
Because my top 5 has changed since our very first episode.
Hands.
basically, you don't want to be called a liar.
I'm not lying. I'm not like these DJs and rappers. I'm honest. I live in truth.
What's your list, man?
DJ Envy got to health.
I got, in no particular order, Dizzy Rascal, Boy in the Corner.
Okay.
I've got Kano, Home Sweet Home. I've got Klashnikov's The Sagas of. I've got Retrospective. And I've got Hoodies All Summer. Kano. So that's 2 Kano albums. And honourable mentions, I've got Sims Grey Area, Sway, This Is My Demo. And I want to leave it there. I've got a few more, but I'm going to leave it there.
Strong list.
Yeah.
Strong list.
I was shaky on Retrospective, but I remember how that made me feel, and it just takes me back to a time. And that was my first experience of Retch as well. So I was just like, yeah, this guy's mad. Inner the Ghetto is still like
That's my
amazing.
favorite. That's arguably my favorite. UK song
Yeah, still amazing. Dizzy, Boy in the Corner. That's Boy in the Corner, innit? Kano, Home Sweet Home.
Kano.
That was probably my first favorite UK album. And I just remember how I felt when I heard P's and Q's. And I was just, it takes me back to being a kid. And then Kalashnikov, The Sagas Of, that was like one of the first gangster conscious albums that I'd heard from the UK. And Kalashnikov is just amazing to me, always has been. And that album's just flawless from top to bottom. I revisited it yesterday as well. Still sounds amazing, man. And yeah, man, Hoodies All Summer. I remember in the previous episode I got a Yemi for calling something a future classic. Now, I'm not going to do that, but if this album still sounds as amazing as it does,
Such a cop-out.
in a few years, then it's always going to go down as an amazing album.
I hate this guy.
The swerve.
The swerve.
Yeah, man. And that album still sounds amazing to me, man. It's just the subjects he's touching on that are just going to be timeless.
You hear me? What you saying?
Feel you, bro. Like you, I've got 2 Kano albums in there. Home Sweet Home is the first one. Because I just remember where I was while I listened to P's and Q's for the first time. Mic Check, Typical Me. Like, that's just classic on classic on classic on classic. So, you know, got to big up that one. My second one, I was in an hour in between Hoodies All Summer and another one. But I decided to go for the other one, and that's Made in the Manor.
I thought you would.
You got from Made in the
Because I
Manor?
remember how much Yemi loved that album when it came out.
I loved that album when it came out. Free Wheel Ups, Hail, This Is England, Ends. There's just too many, man. What he was talking about, you know what I mean, like the sounds, everything like that, bro. Like, it was just so incredible. And, you know, even though Hoodies All Summer gives it a run for its money, I think for the simple fact that Made in the Manor has been out a little bit longer and I've been able to sit with it a lot more, probably gives it the upper hand. So I'll give it to Made in the Manor. But Hoodies All Summer gets an honourable mention. And then I've got Boy in the Corner, Dizzy, my favourite UK rap album ever. Like, no debates about that one. J Hus, Common Sense, a game changer in a lot of ways. Not only for the introduction of Hus to a wide audience, but just the vibrancy and the colour that could come out of a UK artist in terms of the Afro beats, the grime, the rap, the dancehall in some aspects. He just merged it all into just a great package. Clartin, Common Sense, Buff Daddy, Spirit, like Fisherman. Bro, classics, man. So gotta give it to Common Sense, J Hus. And then I got Skinny Man, Council State of Mind. Man, as far as UK hip hop goes, seminal album, title track, one of the greatest UK tracks of all time. Fuck the Hook, I'd be surprised. The story he's telling in there about being with the, I think it's the lawyer or the correctional officer. So it's got a very nice narrative. Yeah, man. Without, I think unknowingly he crafted a masterpiece. So shout out to Skinny Man. But yeah, as far as honorable mentions, Hoodies All Summer, Psychodrama, Conflicts of Interest, Gets.
I was scared to Kanisha.
Nah, not for me. But yeah, that's pretty much me.
I feel you.
Mohammed?
Well,
Watch them all be Tottenham artists.
I was going to actually start with Kano Home.
Dylan.
I was
Double S.
I was going to start.
Meridian. Or
I was going to start with
Marvel.
Marvel.
These brothers going to let me talk.
some underground Tottenham clique that no one's ever heard of. That only secondary school boys listen to.
So, contrary to what these men say, I'm gonna kick it off with Home Sweet Home, Kano. That's one of the first albums I can remember. Or just like listening to someone from outside Tottenham and going, fuck me, like this is different class. So I've got that started off with. I've also gone with Boy in the Corner. I don't think you can have a top 5 list with a UK album and not put that in there. You're nuts. I put Common Sense in there like Yemi did, but I've also put Big Conspiracy in there. And the reason why I put both in there is because if Common Sense was that, and I think he topped it with Big Conspiracy, that's 2 back-to-back. Like, it's not normal albums to have back-to-back in your catalogue. So it's like, I kind of have to give you something. Like, this Big Conspiracy to me is flawless, man. It's got so many tracks. It's him and J5 just went nuts on so many of the production. And it's like, the pocket Hus catches, it's just Hus's pocket. I don't think anyone else could do what he does. I don't think no one could talk, sing, rap the way he does as well in his songs. So I've got Common Sense, Big Conspiracy there. And then I also went for Retrospective because I'm biased.
Yeah, you had to. Yeah, obviously.
No, but because In the Ghetto might be the greatest UK, arguably one of them anyway. It's top 5 for me.
Fair enough.
Really?
Yeah, it's on the level of Talking the Hardest up there. In the Ghetto. But that's my anthem for at least.
That's not a crazy shout.
That's not. I don't think it
No,
is.
not as far as impact.
Yeah,
but
I
as-
think
just
it's
as far
top 5
as-
song.
No, I'm not going to put it in the top 5, but
Person-
I'm not mad at it being
It's
in
just
the
a top
conversation.
5. Yeah, I think it's in there.
I might put it in like the top 20.
In the Ghetto was a moment, man.
Yeah, I remember.
Like,
that.
what?
Yeah.
I'll be up to the crack of dawn. I ain't
Yeah.
nigga, back and forth. What?
Chinese Whispers on that album was
Yeah,
Chip was mad
was
too.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they
Be
too.
Cool with Scorcher.
Probably.
I'd rather forget about
Yeah,
violence.
yeah.
I'd rather be
It
cool.
was hard, man. Stop my pen from crying.
Fam.
Yeah, Retro was different.
Yeah, retrospective.
It was different.
Retrospective is there, yeah.
Stop
It was
looking at
right
me.
there.
Why you keep looking at me?
The Retro was different on that album, man.
Hey,
it was
man,
different.
Let's say when you're the GOAT, you're the GOAT.
You know what this means, right? Later episode, we got to do our top 5 favorite UK songs.
Yeah, that might we may. Yo,
It's going to be mad.
yo.
Yes, it is.
No, we might need to do that. Our top 5 favorite.
And I say that not confidently because no.
Can we
Why
all
not?
do we all agree on talking the hardest out of it? Because I can't.
Absolutely not.
Fuck no, of course not, bro. That's the national anthem, big man.
Hey, man, salute to God Save the Queen, innit?
Ugh.
Hey, salute to her, innit?
For what?
What, Lizzie?
So for what?
No, you're right. You're right.
And on that note, guys, we're gonna sign off. Thank you guys for those choices. All very, very dope. It just shows the breadth of the UK scene, especially in the latter half of the last like decade or so, has gone from strength to strength. So long may that continue. But before we go, any shout outs you want to make? I want to shout out Chip just for that lovely response to Stormzy and Dave.
And always being Chip. If that makes, he's always Chip. I know what to expect from this guy.
Yeah, for real.
Someone mentions the letter C, he's on their ass.
Chip. Yeah.
Do you know
for
what I'm saying?
real. Yeah.
Like, them man can't even say chips.
Yeah, for real.
Hey, man.
But we move.
Hey,
Pete.
salute to all of them.
Cleo Soul, big up. Oh yeah, big up Carrie Matheson too from Homeland. I finished Homeland yesterday.
Carrie Matheson.
Yeah, she like the lead actress in it.
Oh, the white woman.
Yeah, amazing show. But she's a dope actress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again. We really, really appreciate it. Follow us on all the socials. Instagram is at RhymesDimesPod. Twitter at RLDPod. Listen to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. You know, give us a follow. You know what I mean? Tell a friend to tell a friend. Spread the word. And spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Fuck it, why not? And yeah, why not?
Just one last thing. Southgate, you're the one. I just ended like that. Imagine they lose now.
Safe.
Stop! Don't say that, bro.
Bye, everyone.
Imagine they lose now.
That's not gonna happen.
After
Don't.
I ended up saying Southgate, you're the one.